Welcome to Experiences You Should Have, your how-to guide for amazing experiences. I'm your host, Gail, and today we are venturing into the Oregon wilderness to Sahalie and Koosah waterfalls. Now, what I love about these waterfalls is that they are very accessible and you can get to them right off the highway, and they are stunning. If you pull off the road into the Sahalie waterfall parking lot, you will see there's a ramp or stairs, your choice, that will take you to see the falls. Seriously, within a minute of walking. The ramp is also wheelchair accessible in the summer and early fall months. Soon you'll be staring at Sahalie Falls, which is about 100-foot waterfall. Now there's a fun trick that you can do with your eyes, which is follow the water in the waterfall from top to bottom. And you do this with your eyes over and over, maybe at least 8 to 10 times in a row. And after you've been following that water with your eyes over and over, look off to something that doesn't have motion, like the land to the left of the falls. And then you'll start to see the land move. It's actually called the waterfall illusion that allows you to see movement or motion where there isn't motion. It's pretty cool and it's pretty entertainment. Now, what's really special about these waterfalls is the trail that connects the two. The trail is not wheelchair friendly, and there's lots of dirt stairs without railing. So keep that in mind if you have limited mobility. And you may hear me talk about mobility or wheelchair on the podcast. It's a question that comes up in many different episodes, and you might be wondering why that is on my mind. And my husband has cerebral palsy, and so I always have to keep in mind if he can get around doing so. And I figure there's other people out there who may have trouble walking or may have limited mobility. You want to experience something with a loved one who maybe can't walk many miles. So I always try to keep that in mind, and I ask that question on many of the episodes. So if you do have a friend in your life that has limited mobility, definitely tell them about this podcast. Now, the trail is short. So again, there's no railings, but it's a very short trail once you go to the left of Sahalie Falls. And there's this trail that connects Sahalie to Koosah. And what's really magical about it is that as you're walking along the trail, you're following the water downstream. And right in the middle of the trail, you will see the most gorgeous turquoise blue water I have ever seen. I 100% think that the blue water in this rushing water is even more beautiful than Crater Lake, which is definitely a must-see location you should add to your list, which is best seen in the mid to late summer. Now, there were areas on the trail where I could stand and gaze at the blue water below me. And then in an instant, calmness just took over. Now, science even backs up this seeing blue water puts us in a meditative state that can make us have less anxiety, feel more happiness, and even boosts creativity. Now, if you keep on going down the trail, just a half mile from Sahalie, you will find Koosah Falls. Now, Koosah Falls is about 70 feet high and is known as a block fall or block waterfall because it descends from a wide breadth of stream. Now, Sahalie above it, the first waterfall, is a segmented waterfall because it diverges into 2 or 3 parts as it falls. Now, at this point, after you've enjoyed this beautiful short half-mile hike down to Koosah, you can head back up the way that you came, making the hike 1 mile total. However, if you'd like to spend a longer day here, you can hike a full loop, which is 2.6 miles long with a 400-foot elevation gain. In order to do this, you need to park at Sahalie Falls, walk left down the path to Koosah Falls downstream. To stay on the loop, keep right at all junctions after Koosah Falls. After 0.4 miles, you will find a gravel road near Carmen Reservoir. Follow the road about 150 yards until you see a trail sign and take that path. After 100 yards, turn right onto the McKenzie River Trail, which heads upstream past Koosah and Sahalie Falls, but on the other side of the river. And then you'll see some great viewpoints of these falls just from the other side. And then when you finally get to the footbridge, cross over it, turn right for 0.4 miles, and then you will end back up where you started in the Sahalie Falls parking lot. And you don't have to memorize at all. That will all be in the show notes on experiencesyousshouldhave.com. Click on episodes, find the episode, and you will have beautiful directions to experience this truly amazing Oregon hike. I promise it will be a memorable hike. And this is a place I love to bring guests to when they come to visit me in Oregon. Truly, it is stunning, simply stunning. And when you're on the trail, keep an eye out for Oregon's Pacific harlequin duck, Oregon's only anadromous duck. Take note that the Pacific harlequin is the only duck in the world that splits its time between the sea and the mountains. Now, also take note that it is completely free to park and hike around Sahalie and Koosah Falls. There is a bathroom that is ADA friendly at Sahalie Falls, but there aren't any other facilities, no showers or that sort of thing. So when you're going on this trip, make sure you bring some good walking shoes, a hiking stick, your camera, and snacks. And please remember to not leave any trash on the trail. So how do you get to Sahalie and Koosah Falls? Well, the closest larger towns are Eugene, Oregon, or Bend, Oregon. Each is about an hour and 15 minutes away. The falls are right in the middle of Bend and Eugene. So you will need a car to get there. There's no bus or public transport, so you may need to rent a car or go with a friend's car if you're visiting a good buddy in Oregon. And if you're coming from Bend, there are 2 different routes you can go. The first way is taking Highway 20 to then Highway 126. And then you'll see Sahalie Falls on your right along that road. But if you are up for a more adventurous drive with a really cool lava viewpoint, then take Highway 20 to Highway 242. And at the end of Highway 242, turn right onto 126. You'll pass Belknap Springs and you'll drive right up to Koosah and Sahalie Falls. Now, Highway 242 is one of the most scenic highways in Oregon, and it's usually closed November through the 3rd Monday in June. Now, I would plan to fly into Redmond, spend some time in Bend in the summer, preferably July or July through September, and plan an entire day to make the drive on Highway 242 and make sure you see Sahalie and Koosah Falls and do the trail in between the two. You could also plan to do this trip in late October to see the fall colors along the highway. After seeing the falls, you could plan to stop at Belknap Hot Springs to stay overnight or go soak in their hot springs for an hour or more. Now, if you want to, you could reserve a camping spot or you could stay at the Belknap Hot Spring Lodge But I do recommend booking that well in advance. If you're just looking to go and soak there for an hour or longer, just pop on in. Now, Belknap Hot Springs is fully clothed, and your little ones do need to be potty trained, so there's no swim diapers allowed at Belknap. The hot springs flows into a pool structure, and the water is pure and hot. Now, here's a little pro tip. If the main pool at Belknap is crowded, you could rent a tent camping spot from Belknap and use their other pool that is reserved for guests of Belknap and enjoy some peace and quiet. Now, if nudity is more your thing, then check out Cougar Hot Springs down the road. Now, I personally don't enjoy the hot springs in the summer. If you are going to make Belknap part of the trip, then I would plan that part of the trip for October, maybe those first few days in November. Then you could also plan to take the Highway 242. Now, if you do check out Sahalie and Koosah Falls and you are able to go on 242, there is another waterfall that is one of my favorites, and you can only get to it off Highway 242. So you can only get to this fall in the summer months, and it's called Proxy Falls. So definitely make a stop there. That is also a very short loop. Maybe it's about a mile long. It's not very long, and it is gorgeous. It is absolutely gorgeous. So you could full on have an Oregon waterfall day along with the most crisp, pure blue water you have ever seen. And all of that is free. The only one that requires a parking permit is Proxy Falls, requires a $5 forest pass, whereas Sahalie and Koosah Falls is completely free to park at and go check out. And Belknap Hot Springs, you'll have to check out their costs, but if you are just going to soak for an hour, it's about $8 for an hour to soak in these beautiful hot springs along the Mackenzie River. I promise, this is a day you won't forget. You can absolutely just be in nature. Go with your friends, go alone, go check out some waterfalls. They're easy to get to. It's absolutely gorgeous, and it'll be one for the books. I promise. Thank you so much for listening to Experiences You Should Have, your how-to guide for amazing experiences. I've got a few exciting episodes coming up, so please stay tuned. These episodes come out every other week. I shoot for Sunday, sometimes it's Monday, but they do come. And if you can follow me on Instagram, I'm on there as Experiences Podcast. So give me a follow on Instagram and shoot me a message if you want to be on the show. Check out the show notes at experiencesyoushouldhave.com. Tell a friend, tell a coworker, tell your family, tell the world about experiences you should have, giving you a how-to guide for amazing experiences.